All right, guys, we are back. It's Not Just Insurance, Season 2. Jeff Safaya, the co-host, along with my co-host Kevin Molnaric. Pretty pumped up. We don't know too much about this guy, but we've been literally talking to him for 2.5 minutes, and he made us laugh for 2.5 minutes. So he's a character. He's got a lot of cool things going on in the insurance industry. I do see him a lot on Facebook, always contributing on there, building value for agents. So Carson Porter, thanks for joining us.
We've heard a lot about him from others, too.
Yes. First time we heard about you, it was after a show in Vegas you spoke at. And actually, I think it was that you went in on an agency. I can't remember their names. It was 3 of them. And they mentioned you, and we looked you up. That was last year in April. Was it John Spoggy's event?
ABU.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know. We've done so many at this point. My wife is going to tell you my memory isn't my strong point. So, but if it was in Vegas, I mean, probably had a good time. You know what I'm saying?
We did. We won a little money too.
Yeah, a little bit.
So yeah, man, take us from the beginning. Like, why'd you get into insurance in the first place, and what brought you here?
Yeah, I got into insurance because I was running from automotive repair, honestly.
Okay.
Born and raised in that area. My first 2 businesses were automotive repair, and they weren't bad. We sold both of them at a profit, but that's what I grew up doing. And my folks always struggled with money, and I saw how my old man had busted his back and just worked himself to the bone over fixing cars for folks that couldn't even bother to bring them in without being covered in cow shit, right? Like, holy cow, Farmer John. And it just was something that when my wife and I were wanting to start a family, have some kids, we thought, hey, we're young and dumb. If we're going to try something else, now's the time to try it, right? And so that's what we decided to do was try it. Insurance wasn't even on the radar. She was pregnant with our firstborn kid. And I had talked to a buddy of mine, hey, who do you have your insurance through? We're just quoting stuff around trying to drop the bills. I need diaper money. And they referred us to their agent, who also just so happened to be like the regional or area recruiter for American National Insurance. They're a multi-line company, kind of like State Farm. And went in, he saved us a bunch of money. And which is weird because we were with Geico. Like, the amount of times I've been on the phone with Geico, I should have been getting insurance for free, you know? But he asked me, he was just like, hey, would you be interested in a career? And I was like, hell no. Are you kidding me? Well, about 2 months later, it had been eating away at me because I was just having the hardest time finding options or opportunities. And so I picked up the phone and called him back, and I was like, Robert, were you for real about this, or were you just trying to butter my balls so I'd buy a policy off you? And he's like, no, I was for real. I was like, cool. Well, I have questions, but I work, 80 to 100 hours a week. Can you meet on a Saturday? Robert never works Saturdays. He's 30 plus years in the industry. Like, y'all know this. Insurance agents that far in don't work that much, and that's okay to say. That's what we're all working towards. But to his credit, he met me there on a Saturday. I put on my best, which was a pair of jeans that didn't have holes in them, and a black button-up shirt I probably bought at Walmart, and went in. I had just pages of questions, and I interviewed him, question after question. And when we were all said and done, I went home, took a couple days to think about it, and decided to pull the trigger on it. So studied, got my licenses, got it wrapped up in a new agent program, internship, and away we went. Spent the first 5 years of my career with that company. Early on, my first 6 months, I almost went bankrupt, went into foreclosure, almost got divorced because I was being just an absolute butthead to my wife, who didn't deserve it, but the money was bad and I was angry. And then some things started clicking for me and took off, ended up leading that company nationally for life insurance and annuities for 5 consecutive years, and then went independent thereafter. And we just kept clicking along. Been a top of the table $1 million round table agency for years now. Launched a mastermind several years ago to help other folks figure out how to make this business work. And haven't spent a dollar on marketing in 3 years now since we launched that. Not a single dollar. And we've got depending on which portion of the mastermind you're looking at. All in with the free stuff included, about 4,000 people in the mastermind. If you consider the paid stuff only, several hundred, 300-ish plus in the mastermind. And it's just been good. It's been a wild ride. It's been fun. And I don't know. That's me.
Yeah. All right. Well, there's a lot to unpack there. And it's always fun to hear when, like, the turning point, right? So you almost bankrupt, foreclosure, and then you just jump to top of the table. Like, so give us, what was it? How did it change? Your back's against the wall, and what did you do different? What would because there's agents out there that are right there. They're 6 months in and questioning it, right?
Yeah, hindsight, it's easy to make it sound like, oh, I went from this to that. No, it was a journey over the course of years. And
Yeah.
I started figuring out how to make money long before I started figuring out how to take money home. That's a whole nother conversation. But what it really came down to was figuring out how to work. In our mastermind, we have this little ism. We say, do the damn work, right? Emphasis on the word the, actually, not on the word damn. Everybody's like, oh, he likes to swear. It's got to be on that farmer word, but it's not. The emphasis is on the word the. I didn't know what to do. My upline, the guys that recruited me, great people. They were under-equipped to help me. I swear upon all that is insurance. I was the worst person, the worst agent, and I still feel like I am, but I just didn't know. I didn't know where. They'd be like, well, go talk to folks. I'd be like, okay, who? Where do I find them? They'd be like, well, go knock doors, go to the mall, go. Like, okay, and what do I say? And they're like, I don't know, just ask them who has their insurance. And I'm like, what do I say once they answer me?
Yeah.
I had no clue. But they, like I say, were under-equipped, to be candid, to help me. So I didn't know what to do. What I decided to do, it's the best sell I've ever made. My wife was ready to leave, and I just told her, Camille, give me 90 days. I can't promise I'm going to be home. I don't know this. All I know is if you'll give me 90 days, I'll either figure it out or go back to automotive repair. I still have all my tools, all my connections.
Right.
Like I could be into a $150,000 a year job tomorrow if I wanted to with the network we had in that realm. But if you'll give me 90 days, I will figure this out. And so she did. And what I started doing is, and I don't recommend this per se, but it's what it took for me. I didn't know how to find a mentor. I didn't know coaching groups exist. I didn't know any of that. So I just woke up and I went into the office. And the first 2 or 3 days at 5 a.m., I'm sitting in the office staring at the wall like, okay, what the hell do I do now? And then it dawned on me, well, what you do is learn. It's hard to talk about what you don't know about. And I didn't know where to learn about things like index universal life, whole life, annuities. The only place I knew to get literature on that was to just print an illustration. So that's what I did. I ran an illustration on myself, printed it, read through it, and thought, man, I'm an idiot. I don't understand this. I better understand it. So I read through it, highlighted every word I didn't understand. And then for the next several weeks, that's all I studied. Every morning I'd go in at 5 a.m. and from 5 to 9, when it was time to pick up the phones and start doing work, I would just study those words. What is it? What does it mean? What does it mean in this context? When I got done with that, I realized there's entire phrases in here I don't understand. Things like, entire concepts. Tamara, Tefra, Defra, the difference between 7702 and 7702A. Like, how am I going to help somebody if I don't know? Isn't that just the blind leading the blind?
Mm-hmm.
So I started highlighting all the concepts and phrases I didn't know and studied that. Over the course of studying that, I didn't know where to go. I went to Google. I went to YouTube. Best free universities on earth, by the way. And that's where I started bumping into a lot of folks that were just pumping out content. Like, hey, here's a free resource. Here's some free help. We did that. And I will tell you this. Like, I did that, and then 9 a.m. to 5 a.m. I went to work. Initially, I didn't know how to get people to stop and talk to me because I was so desperate. My commission breath was so strong.
Yeah.
I was like, how do I put them in
I
a
never
position
heard
where
that
they
term.
can't run away? Like, my breath smells like shark shit right now. I gotta figure this out. So I decided to knock doors. Like they're gonna open it. It's me and them one-on-one. You know, the friends aren't around to cackle, and it's just me and them one-on-one. So I started knocking doors. I'm not saying everybody should knock doors, but that's what I did. And all of a sudden things started taking off. I realized, man, I can suck at this, but if I'll knock 100, 200 doors a day, I'm guaranteed to have one or two quality conversations. If I can do that every single day throughout the week, I'm going to have 10 quality conversations, and I'm probably going to close one or two of those. And this industry is so damn good to us. If I just close one or two of those every week, I'm making 5, 10 grand a month. Holy crap. My mind was blown. And so then I just started doing that consistently. And then once I was doing that consistently, it was like, okay, how do I hire somebody else to do this with me, not for me, but with me, so that I can quit knocking doors 1 extra hour, run 1 extra appointment,
Yeah.
and double up. And over the course of time, that turned into 10 people knocking doors full time. We're making hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars a year in commissions. And that's kind of where it all took off. It literally, it took, from that point, it took like 2 weeks to start changing my paychecks from the day that I asked her for 90 days. Within 2 weeks, my paycheck started changing. Within 30 days, there was like consistency. I could see consistency.
Wow.
Within 60 days, my bills were paid. Within 90 days, my back bills were paid. And I've never looked back since.
That's fantastic. That's really good.
It's awesome,
That's
man.
awesome. So what was it in your background, even before getting into insurance, that gave you that grit to know and figure out how to figure it out? So when you were mechanic, you owned a mechanic shop, and were you working on cars, or were you kind of the entrepreneur and had people working on cars with you? Like, how did that play into it?
Both, yeah. So we had folks working with us. I worked on cars, out of a 14, 16-hour workday. I probably spent 10 of those hours out in the shop and the rest in the office doing bookkeeping and service writing and whatever else. So I had some good leg up on how do you treat folks? How do you do the job? Like, if you don't do it right the first time, is it even worth doing?
Yeah.
There's a lot of lessons I learned through that really helped. I think where that grit came from, though, was frankly my upbringing. My parents didn't do well, and it's not because they were stupid. They didn't do poorly with money because they were stupid. Their parents didn't do well. We just generationally, I guess, financially challenged. Nobody taught us those things. But the one thing that was always instilled in me is it doesn't matter how dark the day gets. If you'll wake up and go do everything you can do to do what you know is good, right, and true,
Yeah.
it'll all work out. Somehow, some way, it'll all work out.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where that grit came from. It's just this belief that I don't have to have all the answers. I just need to wake up and do all that I know is good, right, and true. The problem with that, though, is most folks don't do all they can do. They do some. Or like Winston Churchill said, it's not enough to do your best. Sometimes you must do what is necessary. And those are two different concepts.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, that's good.
And that's kind of the difference is I had to go beyond what I considered my best. And all of a sudden things started clicking. The good ideas started coming. The results or the fruits from those labors started showing. And but it took so much more than I initially thought. I thought initially I was doing my best, but I hadn't even started trying yet. So
It's pretty influential, man. It's cool to hear. And so how big's your team right now?
which team? I've got multiple businesses.
I see that. So how about Rev Agency, REV?
Rev, 5, 7 people. We've got a couple VAs as well.
Nice.
So,
And then you're
yeah,
coaching.
that's the mastermind. So 5, 7 people if you're counting the VAs.
Okay. What do you like doing most right now?
Being with my family.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
That's what I like most is just being with my family. We're talking just at work though.
Yeah, it was probably the
It's-
best answer you could come up with. But yeah, I was definitely talking just work.
Bullshit.
Yeah.
No, the thing I like best, it's hard. It's such a toss up because I get my rocks off so hard at being good at what I do, which is I do advanced case planning with life insurance and annuities. We do wealth management, we do retirement planning, but we focus on advanced cases. And I find so much fulfillment in that. There is something about the challenge of solving somebody's weird one-off financial problem,
Yeah.
and it ends up being like a $400,000 or $500,000 per year life insurance policy. So I enjoy the crap out of that. On the other side, I really enjoy helping agents. Like we have our paid mastermind, and in our paid mastermind, over the last 3 years of running it, we've produced over 1,000 hours of recorded content. We've run events, we've done all sorts of things.
Yeah.
But we have this whole free section too. In 3 years, we're north of like 4,000 hours total of produced content. And a lot of it's just one-off. It might be a Facebook Live that runs 30 minutes, just a quick, hey, somebody asked me this, so let me give it to everybody. But I don't know. It breaks my heart that so many folks get into this business and don't just find their way out of it. They find their way into financial hardship because of the time spent here.
Right.
Because I can't let go of, like, you know how devastating it is to come home to a foreclosure notice on your door and you walk inside and your wife hands you divorce papers? It gets devastating. It robbed my soul, took it. It just took it from me. And I don't want that for anyone. And it's so damn cool. And over the last several years of doing this, I've had the opportunity to sit on the phone and give somebody a couple pieces of advice because they felt like they were in the same position. And a month later, they hit me back up and they're like, man, I made 10 grand last month. I made 5 grand last month. By the way, the day we had that conversation, I was sitting on the freeway off ramp and I had a
Oh my gosh.
little pew in my lap. Or it's been, that's devastating.
Yeah.
But it's also pretty cool to be a part of the solution instead of part of the problem. So
Absolutely.
That's so great. I mean, being able to give back and share from some of your darkest moments, hardest times, and be able to help someone. And if you haven't gone through that, then you probably couldn't help. Maybe you couldn't help them. So
that's it. That's the difference between sympathy and empathy.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, that's 100%. Really cool. So, in your mastermind, is that just you? I know you have a team with you. I mean, are there? What maybe help describe that to our listeners of what that looks like.
Help me understand your question a little better, if you would. Just what do you mean by is that just you?
Like your mastermind classes, like how many? Like you have it online, but then you also have like live in-person events, right? And then who's the market for that? Who goes to those events, and what is it about?
Yeah, so our market is really anybody that wants to improve their life insurance and annuity sales. We have a lot of captives, a lot of independents.
Oh, okay. Captive and ND.
Multi-line, life only. We've got different levels to help folks at different points in their career. It's like, hey, you're brand new. I know you can't afford a $5,000. Like, can we get you at $97 a month? If you'll come in at $97 within 30 days, if you'll do the work, I promise you we'll make you a couple $1,000. That's going to help you pay for the next $97. But no, it's not just me. It started out as just me. We have, like I said, we've got recorded modules. We run for every single level. We run weekly live trainings and calls. We bring in industry experts. We've collaborated with folks like Van Miller, David McKnight, Jake Thompson, Tom Hagna, just a whole bunch of folks. And then we collaborate on other things. Like, you need help with marketing, let us bring in some marketing folks. You're trying to figure out how to run Facebook ads, let's bring in people that do that. You need to know how to knock doors, let's bring in a dude running a team knocking doors for solar that runs a team of 4,000 people across the United States.
Oh, wow.
Who better to talk about it? So we collaborate with a lot of people, and we actually run the mastermind as a not-for-profit. And that's the commitment it's always been. Every dime we make either goes to paying my team for helping to run it, or not marketing. We've never spent $1 on marketing, but resources, collaborations, spend every dollar and then some to make that pop. So it started out as me, to answer your question, but it's not any. We've got folks that have come up through he's become one of my closest friends, in the world. Started several years ago with he was facing termination with his carrier. They were going to terminate him for a lack of production, underproducing, and he's now a multi-year $1 million roundtable agent. It's gone to Cabo San Lucas. I think in a couple weeks they're headed out to, or a couple months they're headed to Scotland on company trips.
Nice.
And I've got him helping me, like, hey, let's do a 2.0. Like, you've come through this, you went from nothing to everything. Let's reiterate. Let's make sure the information's relevant. Times have changed over the last 3 years. So yeah, we put our own members on stage. We collaborate with other people in the space, and just the question is, does it bring relevant value? And if it does, then we do it. So
That's awesome.
And I've seen you on Accelerated Automation with our friend Mariah Gates quite a few times.
Yeah.
On Facebook.
Yeah, we've done a bunch with Mariah. Kenzie, who works with Mariah and I.
Yeah.
Kenzie and I have worked together in the past. Mariah came out to our event in Scottsdale in January and was a huge part of that. Had a lot of folks that really appreciated her being there. And I can't say enough good stuff about Agency Zoom. I keep telling everyone, like, if you want a more powerful marketing CRM, yeah, it's probably not the one. But if you're a multi-line agent just trying to run a profitable multi-line agency and do it well without the gaps, there's nothing simpler and easier and more effective to implement than Agency Zoom.
You've been
It's such
saying
a
that since
solid
the
foundation.
first day it was operational
Yeah,
with
for
Tolga
sure.
and
Yeah,
Mo.
Tolga was a good buddy of mine. He told me before it turned into a piece of paper.
Oh, really?
Idea, yeah. Like I was.
Kevin used to be a part of the Agency Sales Academy, and that was back in 2000 when it first started, 2012 or
No,
15?
yeah.
Okay. And that's
15,
when
15.
Agency Zoom was just getting going.
Yeah.
But,
But you know what I found is when so we had a coaching group, coaching team. We did events and, had our all the online videos and everything and live training. But the more, just being a part of that made my agency the best. Like it never ran any better. And so the byproduct of what you're doing, I'm sure you're reflecting in your sales because you have
practice
to
what you
stay
preach. Yeah.
top of market. Like you have to have the best content. But in order to learn and to do the best content, you're collaborating. You're in a different room than you were before with a different set of people, with a different set of goals. And just that all just funnels back down to you. And so even though it's nonprofit, I'm sure it's making you a way better, owner in your business.
Yeah, the mastermind runs as a not-for-profit, but yeah, my agency, we were already doing well, but it just keeps getting better because we're the epicenter, so to speak.
Right.
Not the epicenter. We're not where all the good ideas come from, but we are where all these collaborative good ideas come back to.
Right.
And it's so stinking powerful. It gets overwhelming sometimes because there's a million good ideas, but
Yeah.
the only real $1 million idea is the one you're making $1 million on, right? So at some point, it's like you're swimming in an ocean of diarrhea, and it's like, man, there's too many good ideas here, but what a good problem to have.
Yeah.
Too many good ideas instead of too few.
Right. I mean, you get them and you get to test it. You're like the test lab, right?
What's your next event you got coming up? I'm interested now.
It'll probably be 2025. We typically do one of the events we do every year is called RevCon, and it's a 2-day intensive mastermind.
Okay.
As opposed to, all this hype. It's intensive. It's been really cool. We run it in Las Vegas every year, but I think this year we're probably going to end up skipping it, frankly. We just got done with this event in Scottsdale, and that went really well. It went better than we could have expected, but I'm tired. Like I'm tired. My team's tired. So I think for the next, not foreseeable future, but I think for this year, the plan is let's be about our business and do good things. And we'll do an event again next year. We've already done one in 2024. So we'll see. I don't know. It's up in the air. We may throw some off the wall stuff. We do a quarterly event for part of our mastermind, some quarterly meetup stuff. So we'll still do that, but I'm just tired. I want to pour into what other people are doing. So we're looking at other people's events, honestly. Where can I
Oh, very
go?
cool.
They don't have to put me on stage. I'm always happy to give value and do what I can there. But at the same time, if I can go, and I'll pay to be an attendee in the crowd if I have to, but let's go to other people's events and give some value. And
Yeah.
I've got a
that's
lot
kind
of
of the
ideas for you, so we'll talk offline about it for sure. That I think would be mutually
Yeah.
beneficial.
I
Absolutely.
totally, align with that. I just got back last week at John Maxwell's event, and it
Mhm.
was actually at his house, so a smaller group, and that was the coolest. And just to be able to learn from like the best, and to be surrounded by 45 other awesome business leaders in all different kinds of industries was really powerful. And so I'm going back next month. I'm gonna do it again. He's with Deion Sanders.
Dion's
So-
gonna be there.
Yeah.
What?
So it's gonna be super cool. But
Showtime,
to your
baby.
point is, same thing. Like I did all the events and lots of traveling, and now it's really cool to sit and be the student now in among a different room of people. It's great.
That's like they say, you can't pour from an empty cup, right? And you get to a point where the cup you're pouring from is empty, and like folks don't realize, everybody that gets in this space is like, I'm going to put on an event. Okay.
Yeah.
They don't realize these events, they're exhausting.
Yeah.
And typically, in my opinion, if you're doing them right, you're not really making money. They're a loss leader. So unless you got something to sell on the back end, but they are emotionally exhausting. And it's so great to provide all that value, and everybody loves it. But I'm just really looking forward to just shutting the hell up. I don't know if you noticed, but I can talk. I just want to be quiet and learn.
Yeah. I think that's great. I mean, you're going to come to yourself, and you're going to find out so much more about yourself and about how to get even to the next level. And I can relate. We'd bring in $1 million for events, and we'd spend $1 million or more. And that is, I 100% relate. I mean, you're buying
And
lunches,
you
right,
spend it
for
up
like
front, and then you
$75.
hope those tickets pay for it.
Yeah, you're spending $75 for a sandwich and chips and an apple for somebody, and like that cost is real.
You better eat that.
And then they want to come up and bitch and moan about how the cheesecake came out first. Stop it.
Right.
Stop it.
Right. No, I get it.
That's an ideal spot, though. Scottsdale, man.
It was great. It was really great. I like Vegas for events more. Maybe it's because I lived there for a while, but Vegas is an events town, and you don't have to do the strip. So we don't do our Vegas events on the strip.
Where do you go?
The M Resort. It's off the strip. It's actually in Henderson, but it's
Oh, okay.
a 10-minute ride to the strip. It's the Raiders' hometown casino, by the way. So anytime you're there, you're just so likely to bump into Raiders players and all sorts of stuff. But you get off that strip vibe. I lived in Vegas. Anyone that lives in Vegas doesn't go to the strip.
Right.
Yeah.
That's where everyone goes to be on their worst behavior. Let's be real. There's a whole different side to that town, and I love it. I miss it there. But it's just a better place. It's clean, it's neat, you're not worried about all the crazies. There's rarely anybody with no pants on trying to like come back to your room with you, and not a lot of crackheads, and I don't know, it's a cool spot. I recommend the M. They did a great job, and their events team, by the way, is top notch.
Oh, nice.
Every Vegas show I've been to is on the strip.
Yeah.
I can't think of one that
Everyone.
Yeah, it's interesting.
I don't love it. Like in the whole time I lived there for several years, and before I lived there, I was just 2 hours up the road, hour and a half up the road in St. George, Utah. I never go to the strip. I didn't then, I don't now. Like I did when I was 18. But at this point, like there's better things in life.
Yeah,
Everyone's
right.
like, oh, I go to the strip for the good food. Are you kidding me? Every damn bar in that place have some 5-star Michelin chef that was just laid off from the Cosmo, and they're cooking your buffalo wings now. I've never had buffalo wings so good. Like, let me hit that hole in the wall.
Mhm.
Interesting. Yeah, we just
Cool
stayed at
town.
the new hotel, the Fountain Blue. That was pretty good.
Mhm.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
was.
we went to a big dealership conference, and that was something else. I've never, you go to some big insurance conferences. I don't know how the biggest one you've been to, where you can get to like, a couple thousand attendees, but this
Yeah, I'll be
dealership
at Big
conference
Eye
was.
down in Vegas in April?
You've been to the National Big Eye Conference, right?
No,
Yeah,
You haven't?
no.
No. How many is
it's
that?
big. I want to say last year was like north of 3,500.
Okay.
I mean, it's pretty good sized conference.
Yeah, like Applied Net and LeadsCon, I feel like are probably two of the biggest. But yeah,
But the dealer, like
No,
the
it
largest
was
one, their floor
ridiculous.
space was like probably 10,000 square feet
Yeah,
of floor space. That was a booth.
we got lost a
Cox
couple of
Automotive,
times.
right? It was
I got
crazy.
lost at the show.
It's insane. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. But dude, how can people connect with you? How can they get with you and get to know you more and I guess potentially be a customer?
Yeah, if it, pray harder, and if it works out, you'll get guidance.
Yeah.
No, at cporter389 on most social platforms, on every social platform, but there's a few I don't participate in, like Threads. Threads is bullshit. But at cporter389, hit me up anywhere. Carson P at revagencysyndicate.com. Go to our website, revagencysyndicate.com. Yeah, we're all over those places,
Cool.
and I do take the time to personally respond. I don't pay VAs or somebody else to respond to all my messages. I get sometimes 200-300 messages a day on Facebook or Instagram or wherever, and I respond to all of them. So might take me a couple hours, might take me a day or two, but hit me up. I'll respond.
That's awesome. Well, thanks for what you do, man. Thanks how you
Yeah.
give back. I love your story, how you're just like your back was against the wall and you just fought right back. And now you don't want that to happen to anybody else. And that's kind of your fuel is what I hear out of it. And that's a great passion to have. So thanks for giving back.
I appreciate y'all giving me the opportunity to share my story.
Yeah.
Appreciate your intensity too. You don't see that often with, I guess, people in the industry sometimes. Like, I love how focused you are with your mission and everything you got going on. And like Kevin said, you had your back against the wall a couple times, and you don't mind sharing that. So super cool stuff. We're fans already, and we
Yeah.
want to keep rooting for you and spreading the good stuff. So appreciate you being on.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate it. And please, if there's anything I can do, I know I can't do much and I'm limited, but if there's anything I can do, please let me know. I'd love to give some value back to y'all.
Will
I
do.
appreciate it.
Thanks
We'll do
for
the
being
same.
on.
Ask us too. Happy to help you.
Yeah, appreciate it.
All right.